We have inflation releases over the next 2 weeks, and for me, these will be particularly important because it gives us yet another data point to assess where real yields are across the region. Why is this an important metric to look at? Well, we tend to understand that real yields gives us a very good indicator in terms of which markets are particularly attractive. So if you look at the chart here, what I've plotted for you is the real 10-year yields across the SSA region. Now, it would be easy to assume that Zambia, which is the red line there, is a more attractive investor destination in terms of portfolio investments relative to a Nigeria, which is sitting at the bottom of the chart there. Well, this would be incorrect simply because even though Zambia has got a real yield of north of 20% and Nigeria is sitting at about 3.5%, well, Zambia has got a lot of fiscal and monetary risks on the horizon at the moment. This is why offshore as well as domestic investors are demanding a higher rate of return in order to actually invest in that market. Whereas in a Nigeria, it's a larger market, it's a lot more liquid, and there are a lot more instruments that investors can actually use to price risk. Hence the need to actually take on a lower real yield in a Nigeria relative to a Zambia. Now, offshore behavior is going to be relatively important over the next couple of weeks as we try and get an assessment of how the global environment is actually reacting to this tariff war that we have between US and our allies at this stage. Now, this is important simply because we're going to be seeing a lot more of safe haven investments into the likes of US and Japan as investors require a lot more certainty in terms of their holdings. We talked about last week in terms of where German 10-year bond yields are, which are at the lowest levels at this stage, and that is simply because of that behavior where investors want a lot more certainty in safe haven plays. So this will be particularly important over the next couple of weeks and days as we get inflation releases in the context of what is happening from a global perspective.